What's going on, everybody? So, I'm just so excited to have you guys in class. It's been so long since we've actually taught anything to live kids, right? Whether it's in person or digitally, that I had to get up early and make another video for you, a fresh new video, VLO1. It's your first actual video talking about content. I'm super excited about it. So this is going to be a short video because we're talking about volume, right? Volume applications. Volume is one of the easiest things in the world to do, for the fact of the matter that you get a formula and you have to substitute numbers into that formula. Now, where it gets a little tricky in our class for accelerated geometry is the fact that you're not just going to get a straightforward sphere or a cylinder, or as you see on the screen, like a cube. Like prisms, get real, okay? So yeah, we'll practice a little bit of that just to kind of get your mind back in the math mode of substituting numbers into a formula. But when we talk about composite figures, when we talk about irregular shapes, irregular pools, irregular 3D figures, you know, there's going to be a lot of different things there. So for example, the one that we're going to talk about a lot is if you've ever bought, tennis balls. You know, they come in that cylinder, and there are like 3 tennis balls in the cylinder typically, right? And yeah, I mean, that's what you do. You just buy that, right? Now, if you want to buy like a sack of tennis balls, then that's a different story because that's really hard to find the volume of. But when we talk about a cylinder filled with 3 tennis balls, I want to know what the volume is, A, of those tennis balls together, B, of the cylinder together, and then C, what is the remaining space left over after those tennis balls would be fit into that cylinder? So for example, what is the missing space, or what is the space not filled up? What is the space filled up by the air inside that cylinder? So those are the kinds of things we're going to talk about. Now, let's talk about what you see on the screen here really quickly. Okay, not that screen. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. This screen. Okay, so hopefully you see me. So when we talk about prism volume calculation, the formula for any type of prism, so really and truly too, any type of figure, 3-dimensional figure that has straight edges and flat surfaces, okay? We're going to be talking about volume of the prism, or volume sub-prism, equals big B base times height. Now, there is a huge difference between big B and little b. Big B represents the area of the base of that figure, meaning the flat 2-dimensional area of whatever that figure is. So take in point, let's say, example 1's too easy. Let's go with example 3 real quick. So I've got a rectangular prism there. The base is where it stands up, where it hits the ground and where it stands up, okay? So where it touches the ground or the surface that it's sitting on, that would be big B, the area of the base, which in that case is length times height, right? But when we talk about other figures, that calculation changes a little bit. But understand that big B times H will represent the area or volume of any 3-dimensional figure that has a flat surface, okay? So example 2 is a little bit more what we're talking about. We're talking about triangular prism here. We want to know what the area of the base is. So because the area of the base is a triangle, and I know it looks like it's laying on its side there, but you can't use that because that's not where it makes a difference between the rectangular prism. It's got to make the difference of where it sits, and in that case, it is a right triangle. So you would find the area of that base, right? So small b, h, divided by 2, and then you would multiply it by the height. So basically volume is where is the figure sitting on the ground, meaning it's 2-dimensional area, and then think of that 2-dimensional area stacked on top of each other the whole time. So let's say my hand represents the 2-dimensional flat surface. Well, if I want to find out what the volume of my hand would be if it was, infinite hands or an X amount of hands stacked up, I'm going to have to use the area of my hand and then the height, which is however high it gets, okay? Because it's that many hands stacked up on top of each other. Now, you can see as we scroll down, we're going to have hexagonal prisms, okay? We're going to have pyramid calculations to do. And in a hexagonal prism, you're going to see that we've got the apothegm, which is a whole nother situation that we'll talk about. We're going to have the hexagonal prism, we're going to have composite figures, okay? Now, when we talk about cylinders, it's the same idea, okay? So we're going to have to know calculations for radius and diameter, obviously. Pyramid calculations, there's a couple of different kinds of pyramids, right? The ones that we'll focus on the most are square base or prism base and triangular base, okay? And you can see that there's some things there. You're going to get this document too as we talk about our work starting tomorrow. Okay? So we've got slant heights, lateral edges, and cones. Now, the one figure that doesn't fall into this whole category is obviously spheres. Because spheres have something that the others don't. Well, they don't have something that the others do, whatever we want to look at it. And we're talking about something that is completely round on all sides. So there is no straight edge. So the calculation there has to be a little bit different, right? Now, cones are kind of the same way because there is that also that loop, right? Around the, I guess, the height of it. But we need to use pi for these instances. And that we're going to get into a really large discussion soon about why pi is used so often in volume formulas, okay? That's for another day. So, your first video, overview of volume. We'll start doing applications tomorrow in class. Make sure that you do, in addition to watching this video, you do the fever form, which is the note-taking guide. It's going to be short for tonight. And the quiz. Again, the quiz will touch upon concepts that we talked about in today's video, and maybe there'll be an extension, but really and truly it's just my way of understanding that you got the material and you understood it. All right? See you later.